Hi, I'm Angie Hicks, co-founder of Angie. When you use Angie for your home projects, you know all your jobs will be done well. Roof repair? Done well. Kitchen sink install? Done well. Deck upgrades? Done well. Electrical upgrade? Done well. Angie's been connecting homeowners with skilled pros for nearly 30 years, so we know the difference between done and done well. Hire high-quality, certified pros at Angie.com.
So you call the police?
Yeah.
And they come. Is that the first time the police are called?
No.
How many times have the police been called?
I would say like 4 or 5 times throughout
By you?
many. Yeah.
And how many times have the police been called by you?
Say one.
This is the plaintiff, Victoria Mutzuk. She says her nasty neighbor's junkyard dog lunged at her, grabbed her very expensive brand new jacket with his jaws, and ripped the stuffing out of the sleeve of her coat. She's lucky the dog didn't bite her arm and only grabbed a hold of the fabric, because if it had, she would have been very hurt. The defendant's a mean old man who has nothing to do all day, refuses to pay her the $730 her coat costs, so she's suing. This is the defendant, Mario Turchio. He says the plaintiff's a horrible neighbor who constantly bangs on the walls and taunts his dog, doing karate chops and kicks whenever she walks by him. On the day in question, she actually tried to kick his dog in the face, and he reacted by defending himself. The fact that her coat got a small rip in the sleeve is her fault, because she provoked his dog, and she has no right suing him here today. He's accused of failing to control his dog.
All parties, please raise your right hand.
What you are about to witness is real. The participants are not actors. They are actual litigants with a case pending in civil court. Both parties have agreed to drop their claims and have their cases settled here before Judge Marilyn Milian in our forum, the People's Court.
Be seated. Come to order, please. Litigants have been sworn in.
Thank you, Douglas. Victoria Mutzuk.
Yes.
You are suing your neighbor Mario Turchio for $730, the cost of a jacket that you say his dog ripped. Tell me what happened.
Correct. So basically it all started.
You can put that down.
Sure.
Okay. We're gonna be here a while.
Okay. So it started like a while back. We actually had problems with him for a very long time.
What kind of problems?
He would spit at our steps. He would throw dirt all over our steps.
Why?
Honestly, I really don't even know. It just came out of nowhere. Like, it just started for no reason. He would watch us out the window. Every single time we would walk down the stairs, his dog would bark. And I guess maybe that irritated him because the dog was being too loud. I'm not sure. But every single time we would walk outside, my mom would like wave to the baby, you know, say bye to my dad.
That's
like
your
out the
mom?
window. Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so fast forward till recently, we installed a video camera because there was a dispute between us before, and actually cops came to our house and I made a report because...
You folks live in a 2-family home?
No, it's a condo, but there's 3 floors. He lives on the 2nd floor, we live on the 3rd floor.
Okay.
So we installed a video camera, it's a motion sensor, so whenever someone comes in and out of the house, it lets us know on our phone if we're not home or whatever, you know? So we seen the motion sensor, and she was outside. She came outside, and literally 9 minutes later, he comes upstairs, up the stairs to our private area where he shouldn't be going. I don't know what he was going there for. With the cup of something.
When you say our private area, you're the only thing upstairs, or there's other apartments?
No, only our door and where we put our shoes and you know. So she walks outside, he comes upstairs with the cup in his hand, and we weren't sure what it was. He stays there for about maybe 30, 35 seconds because it catches the seconds, minutes, and hours on the camera. So we were like, what is he doing, you know? So he stays there, and then 10 seconds later, well, he goes downstairs. About 30 seconds later, he comes back upstairs with something wrapped up in a bounty. And
in a what?
In a paper towel.
Okay.
So he goes back downstairs, comes back up, and he starts looking around, and then he comes back downstairs to his house and closes the door. So she calls me, and I'm at work, And she was nervous to come back upstairs because she didn't know what was going on, you know? So I went upstairs and I see like something spilled all over the rug and like on the steps, like wet. And it was yellow because
when
you could tell.
When you say rug, what are you referring to?
Like the
welcome mat? Okay.
Yeah, the mat.
Go ahead.
So there's something spilled all over the mat, and when I look close and I put the flashlight on, it's like yellow. So I assumed it was like urine or tea or something like that because I didn't know what it was. It was definitely not water. Clearly because he was holding something in the cup, you know. So we called the cops.
So you call the police?
Yeah.
And they come. Is that the first time the police are called?
No.
How many times have the police been called?
I would say like 4 or 5 times throughout like many, yeah.
And how many times have the police been called by you?
Same one.
Okay. So you call the police and what happens?
As the police are on their way, we were standing like on the corner of where the parking lot is, and he comes outside with his dog, and he stands across the street from us, and he's laughing towards us. So we're like,
so
why
he's
is he
across
laughing?
the street from his building with the dog,
Yeah.
just watching like a spectator.
Yeah. So we decide to leave and walk in front of the house so that we're not next to him, like, you know, like so he doesn't see us or whatever. So we're standing in front of the house and he decides to walk right in front of us with his dog, and he has his dog like walking right next to us, and he starts laughing and he's like, okay, like, you know. So I was like, what's so funny? So he's just like, I'm not saying anything. I'm like, but why are you laughing? I'm like, why do you keep, you know, doing these things to us? So he was just like, I'm not doing anything. I'm like, yeah, you are. So as the dispute we kept screaming at each other, whatever. I'm like, I'm not scared of you or your dog. So he's like, oh yeah. And the dog basically, he went like this. He wasn't preventing the dog behind him. He had the dog standing like in front of him, you know, and he was just like, oh yeah. And he went like this with the dog, and the dog bit my jacket.
What do you mean he went like this? What
like he, you know, gestured like that.
Well, he's holding the dog by a leash.
Yeah.
So if you go like that, just the leash.
Well,
moves.
the leash, yeah, but the dog is going like this because we're arguing.
Okay, so the dog is leaning towards you. Anyway.
Yeah.
Is the dog barking or no?
Yeah, of course. Very loud.
Okay. So, and what does the dog do?
The dog bit my jacket.
Okay. Do you have the jacket? Mm-hmm. May I see it? What's going on?
Okay. The reason I went upstairs, I saw the light that was blinking. This has happened 6 years ago. Because they were doing work in the apartment.
Oh, construction work in the apartment, and then it ends up causing your electricity to go up. Okay.
So I went up that time, and this don't happen anymore. When I was watching TV 2 weeks ago, happened again. So I went up. I screamed, and anybody's here? And nobody's there. In the moment I have my coffee, on the way down, I dropped my my tissues, my napkin. That's why I went up again to pick up my napkin.
So the video will show you leaving with a napkin.
I don't know what's the video.
Did you know there was a video camera there?
No.
Do you have the video?
Yeah, I do.
May I see it? While you're queuing that up, can I ask you what happened once they called the police and the dog was out there? According to them, you're out there and you're laughing.
No, I'm not laughing, Joanna. She thinks I'm laughing.
Okay.
I have a smiley face.
You do.
Thank you. I'm correct, Joanna?
I thought you were laughing this whole time.
Thank you. See?
All right, go ahead. So go on.
The daughter comes closer to the dog and she's kicking.
To the dog?
To the dog. She missed it. The dog was next to me.
Okay.
So when she kicked it and she missed it, so I said, what do you do? And then she come and tried to punch. Now, I don't know if the punch was me or the dog.
Well, there's several feet between you and the dog, so how do you not know who the puncher is?
When she missed the kick, she knew that she was too far, so she come closer.
And what happened?
And she tried to fist because she's going to the martial arts, so she used it. And every time she...
Who did she hit with the fist?
The dog, I guess.
No, not I guess. Did you see her hit your dog?
Yes, with the feet, yes.
With the feet or with the fist?
First with the feet.
With the feet, you said she missed.
She missed it.
And then did she hit your dog with her fist?
The dog was too close to the dog.
Yes or no, did she hit your dog with the fist?
No.
Okay, so she never hit your dog?
No.
Okay, but according to you,
but the emotion was there.
Okay, so according to you, first she kicks and then she swings,
right.
And then the dog bit her.
Correct.
Or bit the jacket. Okay, did that happen?
No.
You never were protecting yourself against the aggressive dog biting?
Do you want to know why? Had
Yeah.
I kicked the dog would have been my foot. I love dogs.
No, but did you in an effort to keep the dog at bay?
Once the dog did that, then I went like this. Yeah, of course.
No, before the dog did that, did you ever like kind of give a kick in the direction?
I was standing where I was standing, and he was coming towards me with the dog, as I was saying before.
All right. Is this a jacket?
Yeah.
Is this where it's ripped?
Yeah.
Do you have a receipt for the jacket?
Yes, I do.
May I see the receipt?
Do you want the original? I have the copy.
I want the original.
Give me my wallet.
You don't even knock on the door. I hear every footstep you're taking, and I see how carefully and quietly and stealthily you walk up the last few. You don't even knock on the door. So why should I believe you when you say that you weren't up there up to no good, that you were there in order to knock to see if there were people working on the electricity? What were you doing up there?
That's what I was doing.
Then how come I don't hear you knocking on the door? And now you go up with a piece of paper in your hands. And then the paper is in his hands as he goes up and as he goes down. And then he wipes something on the steps. What did he bring up in the paper? You never saw anything else. There wasn't like dog feces or anything like that.
I don't know. No, I only seen the urine that was there.
Okay, well, you think it's urine. You didn't know if it was tea. You didn't know what it was. But what was in the paper in the second time? You have no idea. There was nothing else left. I'm sorry?
No, there was stuff. What do you mean, like left?
What else was on your mat?
Just the wet.
Okay, so what do you suppose he did the second time? Come on up.
I guess he carried something because before we installed the camera, the reason why we installed the camera, we find in her shoe some, honestly.
Yeah.
We find in her sneaker shoe. As soon as she came home.
Did you find anything on this day?
That day, no. When I came home, I tried to open the door and I couldn't open it. So I thought he was messing with the locks because on our door, there was like chips like from the door. So I don't know.
What did you want to say?
When they go down against the wall,
they bang in order to agitate your dog,
agitate my dog.
And your dog starts barking.
Of course, on my way out, on the way out, on the door, they knock it.
Okay, court is in recess a moment.
All rise.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Harvey Levin here. So, the dog bites her jacket, rips the jacket. Is the dog owner on the hook?
Yeah, I mean, you're responsible for your dog's actions. So.
But the dog was on a leash. Does that matter?
Yes, because every time you take someone, like you run the risk when you take out a dog that anything could happen.
Okay, anything can happen, but the dog was on a leash. Doesn't that help the dog owner?
No, it doesn't help the dog owner. You're responsible for your dog whether he's on a leash or not. It's supposed to keep people away from the dog and not let them there.
That's a very good point. Going inside the courtroom.
Let me ask you a question. What is your defense? Because we know your dog ripped the jacket. What is your defense in the case? That it's not the dog wasn't doing anything wrong because she punched and kicked him? But then you say, okay, no, but she didn't really punch him, but she was doing what?
She didn't reach the punch because she was not close enough.
Okay, but why you have clear animosity with these people? Why do you have a dog on a leash so close to her that anything could end up happening?
They come
why are
close
you so
to
close?
me. They're blocking my way to go to my apartment and screaming.
What am I supposed to do with this video where you are clearly up to something because there is no knock on the door, okay? I'm supposed to believe that you're an innocent victim of their lunacy and you did everything you could to keep the dog away? I mean, at the end of the day, the dog reaches out and the dog bites and it ruins an $800 jacket. I don't know how you people are going to live. How's everybody going to live? I mean, there needs to be some kind of sanity where you live. You know? Maybe you should put a camera outside of your door.
That's what the police say.
No, you should, because you'll minimize the bang, bang, bang. Nobody's going to bang anymore. That solves the problem right there. But as far as this case is concerned and that damage is concerned, I got to tell you, you know, you shouldn't be having that dog anywhere near them where the dog could jump out and do anything.
Joanna, I'm sorry.
You know?
He didn't jump. She come close.
Well, the dog obviously jumped because this is higher than where the dog's mouth naturally is.
Yeah, but remember.
Okay. You know what? No. The answer is no. Pay for the jacket. $730 verdict for the plaintiff.
All right, both sides, hold up.
Yeah, well, here he comes now. Yeah, this is TV. Everybody's watching.
I watch every day.
Everybody just watched you lose that case.
I know.
You got to take care of that dog. What do you think of this? You know, you just bought the jacket.
They were their problem. That's what she did wrong.
What?
Kick him first and then try to punch him.
Really?
It's a German Shepherd. He's got to protect himself.
Who's got to protect?
Me. The German Shepherd's got to protect me.
The German Shepherd has to protect you from her attacking it.
Correct.
She attacked the dog. Really?
I wasn't there. So.
Really? She's going to attack a German Shepherd? Really? Would you do that?
They're crazy. They're ignorant.
All right. Okay. What are you going to do with your new jacket?
Throw it away in the garbage.
All right. Okay. All right. Right around this way.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so what are you doing attacking a German Shepherd?
Well, first of all, for a person who's claiming that I take mixed martial arts, he should know that my arm is shorter than my leg. So if I was to kick the dog, there would be no point of me reaching out.
Listen, you guys have to live together. Forget the arm and the leg. How are you
They
gonna?
just feel boring. They have nothing to do. Just they go outside. They take the dog and attacking people and kids.
To provoke people.
Yeah,
on
that's
purpose.
what they
Well,
do.
this is where you live. What's it going to be like when you go back
there? Live with these neighbors.
Yeah.
It's very shame.
We just feel bad for the dog because it has an owner like that.
Yeah.
You feel bad for the dog. Okay, Harvey?
Okay, Kurt, I gotta tell you, if there was clear proof that the defendant was using the dog to scare the plaintiff, the judge would have awarded punitive damages. And that will do it for this case. Litigants for the next case on the way into the courtroom right now.
Hi, I'm Angie Hicks, co-founder of Angie, and one thing I've learned is that you buy a house, but you make it a home. Because with every fix, update, and renovation, it becomes a little more your own. So you need all your jobs done well. For nearly 30 years, Angie has helped millions of homeowners hire skilled pros for the projects that matter. From plumbing to electrical, roof repair to deck upgrades. So leave it to the pros who will get your jobs done well. Hire high-quality certified pros at Angie.com.
This is the plaintiff, Damien Dawes. He says he purchased a granite kitchen countertop from the defendant, and after he installed it, it didn't feel right. When you rubbed your hand over the surface, it felt like sandpaper, not smooth like it's supposed to. When he called to complain, the defendant told him that's the way it should feel, because that's the type of stone he chose. Bottom line, the guy put the wrong type of sealant on it, and he wants his $2,200 returned, so he's suing. This is the defendant, Eric. He says he installed the countertop the plaintiff picked out, and 2 weeks later the plaintiff calls him irate because he feels the stone's rough to the touch. He went to the plaintiff's house to assess the situation, but the guy stood him up. Now, due to the plaintiff's abusive personality, he doesn't feel safe going back there. The countertop was installed perfectly. He did a great job, and he's done with this customer. He's accused of being a little rough around the edges. The defendant has filed a countersuit for $500 for lost time from work.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case in the docket. The plaintiff ordered a granite kitchen top from the defendant and says it was like sandpaper, but the defendant says he got what he ordered. It's the case of everybody must get stoned.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome, ma'am.
Damien Dawes,
yes.
You are suing Eric. You don't want us to use your last name. You are not the owner of the company, but you have power of attorney from the owner?
Yeah.
All right.
He's here actually today.
He's here today?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're suing the company Eric works for and Eric for $2,200 and the owner of the company for $2,200 for a granite countertop job that you paid and want completely refunded to you because the counter is rough. You have a $500 counterclaim against him for loss of time. Okay, what happened?
Here on October of last year, I purchased a house in I was doing a major renovation to it. I started looking around who do countertop, granite countertop. And,
All right, so go ahead. So you started looking around for somebody to do your countertops, and how did you find them?
A coworker of mine, which he did her countertop.
And she was very happy with them.
Right.
So you hire them to do it, and you buy a slab. You pick out the slab?
Yeah, I went there and picked out the slab.
What kind of granite was it? Was it granite?
It was a granite, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and so when I went there and picked out the slab, I told him that I would come and pay the deposit. The deposit was $1,500 the Monday. I wasn't able to do so on the Monday because of
Okay, you're giving me details I don't really need, because there's no dispute you paid how much?
$2,200.
Right, you don't dispute that, right? Mm-hmm. He paid $2,200. All right, so the countertop comes in. The last installment was a $700 installment. You paid it 24 hours after the countertop was in. Well, what happened after that?
While I was dusting and all, I heard some sound like sand grain and stuff, so I rubbed my hand on the surface. Everywhere I rubbed my hand, it like rough. You could hear the sound while I passed my hand over it. I use a fiber cloth, and it's the same thing. So that was in the night, and I went to work the morning. I waited about 9 o'clock, and I called him. And when I called Eric, I said, the countertop is rough. He says to me, it's the stone you picked out. So I get really upset, and I started to yell at him.
What did you say?
I said, I was like, I work for Home Depot, and I know what countertop feels like. He hung the phone up because I was yelling. I called him back. He didn't pick the phone up.
Okay, hold on. Now, why did you hang up on him?
Because he started yelling and screaming at me, and then...
What was he saying?
Well, he was complaining about the stone being rough, which I told him, how come it's possible that the stone is rough if the stone was installed perfectly, in a perfect condition?
Installation has nothing to do with the surface of the stone. You know that. I mean, so so what were you telling him? Because according to him, you're telling him it's a stone you picked. Did you say that?
Yeah.
How could it be the stone he picked? It's granite. Isn't it the sealant?
Well, the sealer is a different...
Come on up, owner. I don't want you sitting down. Come on up here.
The sealer is just a protection for the stains. And in some cases...
Yeah, but the sealant can also change the surface, the feel of the surface. If you put more sealant, it will be smoother, right?
Yeah, it's just a way to clean it, basically. So at
well, no,
this
it's not just a way to clean it. It's a way to make the customer satisfied. If there's more sealant, it'll be smoother, and it won't bother him the way it's bothering him.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, Your Honor, I got the piece of sample because
Is that the same granite that he got?
It's the same.
That he bought? Okay.
And I have 2 sides.
Okay. I love show and tell.
I'm pretty sure that was he complained.
Right. Yeah.
You can feel this surface.
Right. But this feels nice and smooth. What's the difference between this and this?
This is with the sealer.
Yes.
This is without the sealer.
Yes. Come here, please. And don't start yelling and screaming and intimidating, or you're a big guy. Go ahead. Touch that and touch that. Is that what we're talking about?
Yes.
Yes, it is. Okay, go ahead. You go back to them. All right, so why then does your employee tell him it's the stone you picked?
Because, I mean, that's what he was talking to him.
Right.
So I actually was just doing...
But it's not the stone he picked. Granite's granite. You don't even have to be the daughter of a contractor to know this. If you've ever installed a granite countertop, you know that this is a sealant issue. Am I correct that the answer to this is an easy fix, that it's just putting more sealant?
Yeah.
Actually, just to clean...
We're in court over putting more sealant? Seriously, and not just any court, the people's court, over sealant. Mm-hmm. You know why? Because it's quien es más macho. You're screaming at him, and then what happens? Then, you tell me, you hang up, and what happens next? He texts you?
Yeah, he kept texting me, and then we came to an agreement that we were going to come out to the house and take a look at the stone.
And you basically text him back and say, listen, I'm happy to address this if you speak to me calmly and, and whatever else. So, all right, so you make an appointment to go to the house.
Yep.
All right, and what happens with that? Let me ask you, what happens with that appointment?
I was upstairs, and I get a text from him that he was on his way. Now, I don't know where he's coming from. So he said, okay, about maybe 20 or 25 minutes later, I got another text with his business card standing on the step that I came to your property and you weren't there. So I called him immediately, and he didn't pick the phone up. Then I text him, and I said, you said you were on your way. You didn't tell me where you're coming from. So to my assumption,
Why didn't you answer the door? You didn't hear it.
I didn't hear anything.
Yeah, because he wants this solved.
Because he said he was banging on the door for 10 minutes.
Okay, so what happened that day? Because you text him at 10:57. You text him a picture of your business card in your hand in front of his address, all of which already seems to me a little bit antagonistic. But then he texts you 1 minute later and says, "Did you call?" So why didn't you just drive back and take care of business?
No, it wasn't 1 minute later. I was already probably like 7 miles away from the house.
That's when you chose to text him? Is when you're 7 miles away?
No, I texted him when I was at the house. And then,
okay, you text. Can I see your phone? Do you have the text in your phone? Do you have the text in your phone? Both of you pull it out 1 second. What is the relationship between you two?
We're brothers.
Brothers.
Yeah.
So how long were you guys knocking on the door?
Like 10 minutes.
Okay. And by the way, you are nasty as hell from somebody. You can't, don't you understand how this is done? If you want to resolve your problem, don't be nasty to the people with the key to resolving your problem. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
It's just goofy. You just find, all you're doing is creating more work, okay? You're just creating more work. All right? It's like when you call customer service and you're on hold for 35 minutes, and then you yell at the customer service person who answers, and then they hang up on you and you got to start all over. Not that that's happened to me.
So, when you install granite in a kitchen, can it be rough? I mean, by design, I mean, is there something wrong if it's rough? What do you say?
Yeah, there's something wrong with it. If it's rough, it's supposed to be smooth.
But, you know, some people have countertops that are rough. Is granite always supposed to be smooth?
When you're putting it inside your house, it should be smooth.
It's supposed to be smooth.
Kitchen, yeah.
If it's like sandpaper, something's wrong, right?
Yeah.
Got your point. Going inside the courtroom.
Now, you have a counterclaim against it for $500 for wasting your time?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. That's not going to happen. What does it cost to reseal a countertop? Did anybody get prices on that?
It's basically just a service. It's $150.
No, not what you charge. What does it cost you? How many pennies of sealant does it cost you to do this?
It's about $70.
$70. $70. Wow. I am going to rule in your favor, not in the amount that you're asking for, because I know what the solution is. You know why I love this case? Because it amazes, you know, I used to do death penalty litigation as a lawyer. And then I got appointed by the governor to do small claims in Miami. And people used to ask me, how do you go from death penalty litigation to small claims? And I would tell them all the time, this is so much more fascinating. And it is, because this is a study in the human mind and how humans behave. This should never have reached my courtroom. It should never have reached my courtroom. There should have been a calm visit over there and $70 worth of sealant. That is what should have occurred, gentlemen, but it's not what occurred, and instead we find ourselves here. Does that mean you get a free granite job? No. What you get is the cost of what I believe it's going to take to solve the legitimate problem you are complaining about. I find in your favor in the amount of $200. In the counterclaim, I am ruling against you. That is my judgment.
Well, nothing on the counterclaim for the defendants, and the plaintiff will collect a little bit of what he sued for. What's your reaction to coming out of the courtroom on the losing end here?
Well, I guess probably we could solve this in a different situation if he wouldn't be yelling and screaming at the beginning. We're professional and we're adults.
What would you have changed? Turn the clock back. What would you have changed about the way you handled it?
Pretty much nothing, I guess, at this point. It's just that you learn a lesson as you go. Well, everybody needs to speak polite. And on the other hand...
Didn't you dig your heels in a little bit? You're the businessman.
No, I don't think so. I mean, we were standing our ground. I mean, we know...
So you handled this great, you think?
I assume that, yeah, we did.
Good thing the boss is your brother. All right, head right down this way. All right, they think they handled it great. What about you?
I'm just happy it's over and done with. I think they're a complete ripoff, and I just hope that other people will see it and learn from it, because the entire countertop is rough.
Well, do you regret the way you handled yourself with them?
Well, I didn't handle it any way bad. The guy had an attitude, so of course I'm going to give him one. I pay my money for something good, for good service. Mm-hmm. So I'm expecting to get good service.
What's the countertop like right now when you go home?
It's rough.
It's rough now.
It is.
So what are you going to do with it?
It just, I mean, it's
more sealant.
I mean, money's not the issue. the service is the issue. I mean, I can always pay to fix it. It's not a problem to me, but it's a service that.
Okay, Harvey.
Okay, I have really simple advice, Kurt. Whenever you order something custom, make sure you get a sample before you pay. And that will do it for this case. Litigants for the next case on the way into the courtroom right now.
This is the plaintiff, Tressa May Gillen, Jr. She says she rented a guest house from the defendant's mother for 10 years. And when his mother became ill, he went on a crusade to get her evicted. He succeeded in getting her out, and now that his mother's passed away, he told her she was never going to see her blankety security deposit. Well, we'll see about that. She's suing for $1,954.02, the amount she's definitely due. This is the defendant, Stevens Parr. He says the plaintiff was going through a very nasty divorce from her husband, and the cops were called to the property numerous times. During that period, the woman stopped paying his mother's rent, so he stepped in because his mother felt unsafe being in the main house with a dangerous guy in the guest house. The plaintiff can show him no proof she ever paid a security deposit, and proof is in the pudding, so no proof, no return of money. He's accused of taking on a tenant.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case on the docket. The plaintiff rented the guest house of the defendant's mother for a decade. Says the defendant tried to evict her and tried to withhold her security. Now, the defendant says the plaintiff's estranged husband was going nuts. The police came, and the defendant's mom didn't feel safe. It's the case of Don't Be My Guest.
Thank you, sir. Tressa May Gilliland?
Yes.
Junior?
I'm a junior.
There you go. You go. All right. That's the first time I've seen that. Versus Steve Parr and the estate of Penelope Parr. Okay, you are suing them because according to you, you are owed a security deposit plus interest and double the security deposit for not having received it back. And we're talking about something that happened how many years ago?
This happened 4.5 years ago.
Okay.
Mrs. Parr was my landlady.
That's your deceased mother?
Yes.
Okay.
I was breaking up with my husband. I do have receipts of all the rent was paid through May of that year. That was in 2011. So then I found I was getting evicted for lapse.
What does lapse mean?
Lapse meant no wrongdoing on my part, just that the 10-year lease was almost up and that they wanted to do something else, I guess, with the property. I went to the housing court, and he said, yes, indeed, that the place was not up to par.
What do you mean not up to par?
It didn't meet codes. For instance, I had a stove that hadn't worked. 2 burners hadn't worked in 5 years.
I'm sorry, what were you in housing for? Your lease was over. Like,
no,
she didn't leave?
No, it wasn't.
There was no lease. It was a month-to-month agreement.
Oh, so then what's lapse mean? Just you were giving her the month?
It was lapse in the sense that...
did she get a 1 month's notice and wouldn't leave?
Yes.
Okay. So when did she get her 1 month's notice?
It would have been around May or June of 2001.
So why is she saying she had a 10-year lease?
She didn't have one.
You didn't have a 10-year?
I was under the understanding that around 10 years we discuss it.
Okay, I'm sorry. Did you have a lease or didn't you?
I thought that we did.
Then verbal. Can I see it?
No, it was oral.
Oh, that's not a lease. When it comes to property, it has to be in writing. Well, and if it's not, and then by operation of law, what you have is a month-to-month.
Okay,
and so that means that you have the same limitations any other month-to-month has, which is they could just say you're out in 30 days. We don't like your face. Okay, they could say whatever they want. They don't have to give you a good reason. All right, so now you give her the months and she doesn't take it. And is your mom in the picture during this or not?
Oh, yes. My mother was completely in charge. I was helping her.
Okay. And so why did you want her out, or she want her out?
Mrs. Gilliland had a breakup with her then husband, and it was... it got violent from time to time. I mean,
between Mrs. Gilliland and her husband?
Yes. Okay. And, you know, the house where the rental apartment is part of the main house. So actually there's really just a wall and a door that separated the main house from Mrs. Gilliland's apartment. And so you could hear all the noise, you could hear the ruckus. The police kept coming because there was a lot of violent behavior going on. And
in fact, you got a restraining order against your husband?
I got a restraining order. He acted up in January. He was quite violent toward me. We got separated. I asked Mrs. Parr if I could still stay in the apartment once we were separated, and she said yes. We always had excellent rapport.
Would your husband come to the apartment afterwards?
He had, but then when I got the second restraining order, he finally, that was all done. And he
All right,
didn't.
so in any event, they decided they don't want this. They don't want this. They didn't pick your husband. They don't want to be a part of it. So whatever it is, you give a 1 month's notice. Yeah. Why don't you leave when they give you the 1 month's notice?
Well, because I was, I paid May's rent, and I got the eviction notice on May 11th.
I don't expect you to leave. Right, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I got the eviction notice on May 11th. I just paid May's rent. I paid all the rent.
And that was for you to leave when?
By the end of the month.
Okay, I'm sorry. You're in Connecticut. What kind of notice did you give her?
I have it right here.
Let me see it. Okay, so you didn't leave in May, though?
No.
Okay, so you got June. So really, you weren't prejudiced by any of what you're about to tell me anyway. So you got, did you pay June?
No, because when I went to the housing court, he said, don't pay June, July, or August because...
Why June, July, or August?
He said, because you're going to win the case. He said, basically, you're going to win the case because the place is not up to code and you've been dealing with that for 10 years. So, therefore, don't pay...
They don't usually go in the business of telling you not to pay your rent. Well, I mean, they're not lawyers; they're inspectors. They can tell you.
He did grant me the extension through August 28th.
The agreement.
By the way, this is in 20.
I have the agreement for mediation.
Hold on. This is in 2011.
Yeah.
And what was essentially what was the agreement?
That Mrs. Gilliland would vacate the apartment by August 28th of 2011.
Without paying any rent?
Without paying any rent. That's right.
Okay, and that was why? Because was the place not supposed to be rented?
No, it was supposed to be rented, but...
it could be rented,
my mother just wanted out of the arrangement.
Okay, so according to her, the reason why you couldn't collect rent is because it was an illegal apartment. That's not true?
No, that's not true. That was never brought up at the time.
Okay, and were there ever any citations or like did the inspectors write you guys up for anything?
No, not that I'm aware of.
Okay, where are you getting all that?
So for 9 years, 9 months, everything was fine. And now all of a sudden, she's like not paying rent and she says things are wrong. Does that sound sketchy?
Sounds really sketchy.
She would have complained earlier.
Yeah, a long time ago.
Oh, okay. Going inside the courtroom.
You claim that some inspector told you not to pay because there were all these. You got to not pay for the same age-old reason that tenants get to not pay, and that's that the court system takes 5 months to decide anything.
Well, now it's taken.
That's why
4.5
I love
years.
when I hear judges out there. Excuse me.
I'm sorry.
Judges out there talk about how these judge shows and they make judges look bad. No, they don't. America loves us, because we get it done. The people who hate the judges on their case are the ones who let the judges who let these things drag on forever and ever and ever. Works great for the tenant, though, because the tenant then stays there, doesn't pay, and gets to stay there, and then until they have just exhausted the landlord so much that the landlord says, just go. Yep. Just go, pick up your marbles and go and give us our place back so that we can get somebody in there who does pay rent. Yep. Okay, so this is resolved between you guys in 2011. Why are you here in 2016?
The second part of the housing thing was that he said to them, and they understood, and they had the lawyer sign at the bottom there, that because I lived there for so long that I would be getting the interest on the escrow and the interest on the 10 years I had lived there, and I had to send back the keys.
What are you talking about? Interest on escrow of 10 years I lived there. What are you talking about?
This is what I was told at the housing.
Oh, security? Thank you. I usually don't like when people shout out, but now I understand. All right, so you're supposed to get security back?
Yes.
Says who? That's not in the agreement.
No, what you have to do is I've followed these books like my Bible. They happen to come from the state of Connecticut.
No, wait. Listen to me. Let's take this back a step. Okay. Let's forget that you settled the case with nobody owing anybody anything. No. Let's put that to a side.
I'm sorry,
show me proof that you paid security, because I can't look at the lease to see what you paid because you don't have a lease. So show me proof that you paid security.
Well, they were told by the housing magistrate that day, do you understand that after she returns the keys and moves out on the 28th, leaves it in swept out condition because I had just redone the place, she's entitled to ask you for her security deposit back. Request in writing on Form A, which I used.
Watch this. Did that happen?
No.
Okay. Now I want you to listen. Okay, I need you to listen to me. Okay. That's fine. I don't care what another judge said. I am deciding this case, but I am happy to decide it in your favor. I need you to do the threshold minimum amount required for you to do to even ask for your security back. We're going to put this on hold a moment. Prove to me you paid security. So just show me the receipt.
That I have not got. As I say, however, they did agree in court with that magistrate that yes, they would return the security
Watch
deposit.
this. Did you ever agree to return a security?
Absolutely.
That's it. Now, do you understand what court is? That's what court's about. You have to prove your case. You need to prove that you paid it, and then you need to persuade me that the settlement where he gives up something, you give up something, means that you don't have to give up something. Neither of which you can do. Verdict for the defendant.
Well, usually when you come into court, the judge likes to see proof of what you're suing for. And so what about this verdict here against you?
Well, I felt that in the housing court, it was implied and admitted by the landlady, Mrs. Parr, who's now deceased. She said, you mean we have to return the security deposit?
Mm-hmm.
So I followed suit. I did everything by the book.
Yeah,
small claims book.
Except you don't have any evidence.
That would be 15 years ago, that one receipt, so.
Yeah, that's not the judge's fault or the court's fault.
No, of course not.
So is that the end of this?
Yes, it's the end of it.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, there you go. All right, so step on in here, and what light can you shed on this?
Well, I'm just pleased because, we had gone to mediation, and mediation was all settled. I just wanted an end to it, and I'm very happy that Judge Millian ruled in our favor.
You think you've heard the end of Tressa here?
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so. I think
is she a good tenant?
Off and on. Off and on. She wasn't the greatest tenant, but, it wasn't about her being a tenant. It was about my mother being afraid of having her in the same complex, in the same house, basically, and not knowing when the police would arrive, what would happen with a violent breakup.
Now let's go to Harvey.
Okay, Kurt, if you live in a place that has substandard conditions that are really bad, you need to document it, and then you need to notify the landlord immediately.